Good afternoon. The Chinese Foreign Ministry accuses the Philippines of intruding in Scarborough Shoal, admitting that the floating barrier was put in place to drive away Philippine vessels. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin makes this statement after the Philippine government stood against China's action in Scarborough Shoal, otherwise known as Matatag Shoal or Bajo de Masinloc. Wang claims a Philippine vessel intruded into Scarborough Shoal, quote, without China's permission. He adds that the China Coast Guard did what was, quote, necessary to block and drive away the Philippine vessel. Wang insists that Scarborough Shoal, which he called Wang Yan Dao, has always been China's territory. The Philippine Coast Guard earlier reported that the China Coast Guard installed a floating barrier in the shoal measuring approximately 300 meters long. Following the order of President Bongbong Marcos, the PCG removed on Monday China's floating barrier in the southeast entrance of Scarborough Shoal. PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, J. Tariela, says the removal of China's floating barrier, quote, aligns with international law and the Philippines' sovereignty over the shoal. The House of Representatives approves on third and final reading the proposed Military and Uniformed Personnel Pension System Act. A total of 272 lawmakers voted in favor of House Bill number 8969, with only 4 voting against and 1 abstaining. The bill seeks to resolve issues with the MUP pension system. It was considered on its final reading despite opposition from minority lawmakers who questioned whether there was a quorum on the plenary floor. Before it was passed on second reading last September 19, the bill was amended to place mandatory contributions only on new entrants. The new entrants will be mandated to provide 9% of their monthly salaries as a contribution to the pension fund, while the government will shoulder the remaining 12%. At first, there were calls for military and uniformed personnel to contribute to the pension fund, but several senators warned that this might lead to the early retirement of officials. With the present bill, the pension of active personnel would be generated from other funding sources. The 3% salary increase cap also remains part of the bill. An official from the Department of Education says the pilot implementation of the new Matatag curriculum on Monday was, quote, met with positivity in schools. In a message to reporters, DepEd Undersecretary and spokesperson Michael Powa says the first day of the Matatag curriculum's pilot implementation was met with positivity as learners, teachers, and schools were receptive to it. POA adds that teachers were adequately prepared for the pilot run of the recalibrated K-10 program following their orientation and training sessions. The pilot implementation of the new Matatag curriculum is currently being conducted in 35 schools in 7 regions. Under the new curriculum, the number of competencies that students need to master is reduced by about 70% to allot more time on foundational skills and better learning outcomes. Meanwhile, Progressive Teachers Group Alliance of Concerned Teachers calls on DepEd to stop its premature and experimental implementation of the program that would only treat children as, quote, guinea pigs. A magnitude 6.6 earthquake hits Davao Occidental Tuesday morning. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology says the quake's epicenter was recorded 434 kilometers southeast of Balut Island in Sarangani, Davao Occidental. According to PHIVOLCS, the tectonic quake occurred at 9:39 a.m. on Tuesday. The tremor had a depth of 122 kilometers. In a separate advisory, PHIVOLCS says there is no tsunami threat to the Philippines from the earthquake. Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. Philippine Coast Guard cuts off Scarborough Shoal floating barriers on President Marcos's order. China claims a Philippine ship intruded into Scarborough Shoal without their permission. House of Representatives approves on third and final reading the proposed Military and Uniformed Personnel Pension System Act. And magnitude 6.6 earthquake rattles Davao Occidental. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.